For the first time in 10 years, the Steelers hit the offensive line in the first round of the draft. Kendall Simmons in 2002, David DeCastro of Stanford in 2012. With Guy Junker, I'm Ken Laird. It's the Morning Pittsburgh Sports Report here on
TribLIVE.com. What about
TribLIVE.com.
Marquise Pouncey?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm an interior guard. You're good point. That's a
3 years in a row they've used the first or second round pick on the offensive line.
You're right. But, when you're looking at Pouncey coming in to be the pivot and you take a guard to go beside him, Guy, what I really love about the pick is it's kind of an insurance pick for Pouncey, isn't it? Because, in a way, you're protecting. Those guys are going to play off one another, and you can really solidify that wall in front of Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking at it from a team standpoint. I just love the fact that a guy that they had thought they had known. Everybody thought he was the best guard in the draft, and nobody thought he was going to be available at number 24. I mean, it's sort of a draft cliche to say we didn't think he'd be there. And I've listened to them for years. Kevin Colbert, Tom Donahoe is going to be on with us later on today, and everybody else. They always gush about their first-round pick, but there was a look on Colbert's face when he walked in there last night. First of all, I mean, if you're watching, I don't know if you're watching NFL Network, ESPN, or if you were still on the air yourself, they were in the middle of announcing a New England Patriots trade shuffle, and Goodell came right back out to them. It didn't take them 2 seconds. The only other draft pick I can think of they announced that quickly was Rashard Mendenhall, was another guy that they didn't think would be there. So I fully believe what they said last night, that they're tickled to death that this guy was there.
It's a true sign that they take the best player on their board, right? They're not sitting there and debating. They've got their pre-draft hierarchy of who they want to take, and if he's there, they're going to run the pick right up. They waste pretty much no time.
Well, I guess there can be times if the team right in front of you really surprises you, then maybe there's some discussion. But if you're still trying to make up your mind when it's your turn to pick, it's like when I go to vote, I get angry when people try to hand me bumper stickers and pamphlets as I'm going in. I look at them and say, you think my mind's not already made up? Save your paper. I don't want this stuff.
Yeah, well, it's for next year.
It's for next year. And it's the same thing with them. If they're sitting there arguing about a pick, unless the team in front of you does something you didn't expect, you better know what you're doing when your number's called.
Here's a text message I got from a scout friend, Bo Marchant from College to Pro. It's like God helped the Steelers. He is Faneca. What a beautiful pick. That was his text message to me after the game. That's a lot to put on the guy that he's going to be Alan Faneca right away, but it is amazing that every couple years they seem to get fortunate and somebody slides right down to them.
Well, I mean, I guess he's a good. He played a pro-style offense. He's part of the reason Andrew Luck was drafted number 1 overall. But what I like about him is almost all the time when a guy comes out of college like this, he's a good run blocker, but he's got to work on his passing game, or vice versa. They like everything that this guy does. He's pretty good. I mean, the only negative I've heard at times, he can be overpowered by huge guys, which he's going to face in the NFL. But even Colbert said last night that doesn't usually happen even until it's 5-6 seconds into the play. So they should be extremely happy and ready to get back to work for what has been a pretty good round for them through a lot of years. I mean, Jack Camp, Jack Lambert, guys like that have gone in the second round.
Well, and of course, in a year where the guard has slipped to them, there's still plenty of good offensive linemen available too, and we've seen that before. They hit with Timmons and Woodley, first and second round in 1 year. Could you see them going another O-lineman if they really love the guy in round 2?
If they really love the guy, yeah. I mean, I still think they're pretty. We all were kind of thinking Dante Hightower, and they're still pretty thin at inside linebacker, and there's still some good inside linebackers will be available to them too. I expect them to mix the wealth, but I would not think they would hesitate if the next guy they had slotted was an offensive lineman. If they maybe not a guard, but maybe a tackle.
Yeah. Well, now the Cleveland Browns made waves. They traded up to get Trent Richardson and made sure they got the running back. Gave up a 4th, 5th, and a 7th-round pick to do so, and then shocked everybody, I think, by taking Brandon Weeden, where they did at 22. What do you make of it, Guy? Whedon's 28. He's going on 29. That's maybe not as big of a concern. I'm not sure he's going to be a great player in the league. He played in that spread offense, a lot of short passes, and they could have got Robert Griffin III and Julio Jones last year if they hadn't traded down. So instead of those two guys, they settle on the 4th best quarterback in this year's draft, and they had to trade extra picks to go up and get the running back. I think they could have done better.
Yeah, well, I do too. Let's start with the running back. Is it really worth did Minnesota buffalo them into thinking that they had to make that trade? If they really lost Trent Richardson, was that going to be a disaster? Was still who was available out there that early on? I think that's a heavy price to pay to give up. for a team that needs help in a lot of spots, giving up 3 draft picks, Ken. You got a team like the Steelers, and your guy, you start getting down to the 5th, 7th round, you're probably not going to have guys make the team anyway. With Cleveland, you'd think they would have a shot. As far as the quarterback's concerned, they have to think that he's got a shot at being their starter. Otherwise, why would you take him? You're not going to take a 28-year-old guy to learn to be your backup.
No, he's their guy.
And what does that say about the guys on their roster right now? What does Colt McCoy think? He can't be too happy this morning.
He may be traded by the time we're off the radio today.
And let's face it, some of those picks, the Seattle taking Bruce Irvin, I mean, in the first, that was
stunning.
Some of those things that happened helped the Steelers get the guy they wanted.
Yep. All right, draft continues this weekend. Keep it here on TribLIVE Radio on TribLIVE.com for all the coverage this weekend. For Guy Junker, I'm Ken Laird. This is the Morning Pittsburgh Sports Report.